Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're back for another episode of Kenshi. In the last episode, our war against the Holy Nation continued, with us remaining at a stalemate as we continue fighting the Holy Nation. The war is increasingly becoming more desperate as time goes on. We haven't been able to make any ground due to constant waves of Holy Nation attacks on our base camp. We're debating on just fully falling back from our position. We have multiple injured warriors who are in need of medical attention. On top of that, we've been away from Burntopia for far too long. We need to go back there and check in on our people, make sure everybody's still doing alright and has food. Additionally, Hex is still in a bit of a situation. She's still in the process of trying to get away from those Holy Nation guards that noticed her as she was sneaking into their barracks. Ideally, we don't want to lead them right back to our camp, but we might need some assistance from the rest of our warriors. These guards seem very persistent, don't want to leave her be. If you're enjoying the content though, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it. Hex managed to regroup with some of our better warriors, and we noticed that one of the High Nation paladins decided to just wait at the crossbow turret, rather than returning back to the inside of the walls. Seeing this as an opportunity to bring down one of the High Nation paladins, we decided to go ahead and attack. Initially, Burn and Hex take a crossbow shot to the chest, which weakened them pretty significantly, but we managed to close the distance on the High Nation paladin and get him off the turret, and at this point the fight's on. If we manage to bring him down, we're going to take all of his gear, and then leave him out here for the Fogmen to have their way with. Even though we outnumber the High Paladin, he still puts up a great fight. There's no doubt about it, the High Paladins are certainly some very powerful warriors. And not only are they skilled, but they're also all equipped with high quality armor, which is far superior than our shoddy grade equipment, making this fight even more challenging. Eventually, the High Paladin takes Hex down. However, Hex was one of our worst warriors out of this group. Given she's been stuck at Rebirth for the majority of this playthrough, she's had very little time to actually train her combat experience. That's okay though, because the rest of our warriors will more than make up for her deficiencies. Hopefully this High Paladin goes down quickly though. We need to regroup with the rest of our team as quickly as we can. It's only a matter of time before the next patrol starts coming through, and we don't need to be caught out when that happens. We also can't continue to tolerate the repeated racist remarks coming from these Holy Nation guards. For being called the Holy Nation, they really are some of the most vile people in Kenshi, and we've got cannibals here. The only problem with sieging this fort, and especially the Holy Nation though, is that we are actually bordering the Foglands, and the Holy Nation does put up a really good effort to hold them back. One concern that I have is that once we actually take down the Holy Nation, who's going to hold back the Fogmen? Or will the Fogmen just overrun Ockran's pride? If that does eventually happen though, I don't know if what we're doing is actually going to be beneficial to the overall society. It's a choice between picking the lesser of two evils. What's worse, cannibalism or slavery? Both are vile in my mind, but we can only take on one problem at a time. And slavery is the main concern right now. The Holy Nation controls a huge portion of Kenshi, meaning they have some pretty widespread influence. Additionally, their soldiers are very well equipped, plus very strong. At least the Fogmen are supposedly a lost tribe. Without having a queen, they can't possibly survive very long. And while they may currently have the numbers, perhaps we can whittle them down and push them back all the way through the Foglands, and eventually eradicate them as well. We finally managed to take down the High Paladin though. It was an incredibly close fight, with all of our warriors being knocked out at least once. Thankfully, Hex managed to recover right at the end and was able to stop the High Paladin right as he was healing up, and then immediately proceeded to grab the armor and weapons, just in case that he wakes back up from his coma. But now that this High Paladin's been defeated, we need to regroup with the rest of our warriors ASAP. As well, we need to finish healing up. As well, also some of our best warriors are now in critical condition after that fight, specifically Burn and Plank, as they took the brunt of the damage coming in from that Paladin. Thankfully though, that's one less High Paladin that'll be in the fortress waiting for us to come through. We decided to kidnap and bring that High Paladin with us, though, back to our camp. Just in case he wakes up, we'll be able to knock him down immediately again, and hopefully continue doing that until he's actually in a dying state versus just unconscious. We don't want him to be able to wake up and then re-equip some gear. We don't need High Paladins that want revenge against us, and so the best course of action is just to eliminate them every chance we get. Our healing session carries on for the remainder of the day, and we're fortunate enough not to get attacked by any more patrols. And in case anyone's wondering why I'm not using those two beds and why the overall orientation of our camp is just so weird, that's because those two beds are actually glitched out. And the ground here is surprisingly weird, so I had to place the beds in that orientation just to be able to interact with them. As dusk approaches, our camp gets raided by another wave of Holy Nation guards, and this time it's with the most formidable force we've faced yet. They finally decided to bring one of the Inquisitors with them, whom are the Holy Nation soldiers wearing the red armor. These are the best of the best and the most elite of the Holy Nation guards, and definitely the strongest opponent that we faced yet. This solidifies things for us though. We can't keep fighting here. We need to get out as soon as we can. Hopefully we can make it through this fight and then heal up and then just bail as soon as we can. I think the idea of having everyone be able to run run and at full health is just a dream that's likely not going to happen for us. We need to just get out of here as soon as we can. If we can just make it through this last fight, we're going to tend to our injuries as best we can, healing up to the point where we're not in critical condition anymore, and then we'll limp our way out of here, and hopefully not get cut off by any more Holy Nation patrols that might be heading in towards the military camp. It's not just the Inquisitor, though, that's going to be a problem for us, though. There's also a High Paladin in the mix. Also, it looks like a group of hungry bandits decided to jump in and throw their hat in the ring. Generally, they're not really a threat, but given we're fighting an Inquisitor right now, we don't need additional people trying to kill us. This fight carries on for some time and it begins to get dark. The hungry bandits have been destroyed. Only a few of them remain, and they're crawling just to try to make it out of this fight, leaving trails of blood in their wake. We're still trying to deal with the Holy Nation patrol, though. We weren't prepared for such a force to attack us just yet. It's good, though, that we got a little bit of a taste of what the Inquisitors are capable of. Tengu saw 3 or 4 of the Inquisitors while he was incarcerated into the military camp, and there's no way we can engage them without engaging all of them. So it's good that we're able to test ourselves against just one, because if we attacked all of them right away, we would certainly be destroyed. It's still uncertain, though, if we'll even be able to make it out of this one fight, fighting just a single Inquisitor and 2 High Paladins. In hindsight, maybe it would have been a decent idea to set up some crossbow turrets. That way we could have actually built a perimeter and solid defense for our camp, which would have also allowed us to heal quicker and easier without the constant threat of attacks. And at least if we did get attacked, we would have been able to whittle them down before they actually got to our camp. The Holy Nation leaves our warriors in shambles, knocking everybody out once again, but thankfully for whatever reason they decide to just leave and don't actually take anybody prisoner. And as soon as everyone's woken up and is at least able to walk, we immediately try to make our way out, falling back away from the military camp. We ended up fighting for over a month between Rebirth and this military camp. We were successful with sieging Rebirth, but we were unable to make any progress into this military camp. Their defenses were too strong and the reinforcement patrols were constant, making it an incredibly difficult fight. But we did get a lot of combat training while we were here. As well, we recovered Hex, which was our primary goal. We need to regroup with Burntopia as quickly as we can, but first we need to see if we can find any prosthetic limbs along the way. We lost a lot of arms and legs throughout this war, which is also part of the reason why we need to fall back. Our army's getting overall weaker at this point, just due to the limb loss. Once we come back here, though, they're not going to stand a chance. We know what we're up against now, we just need to do a little bit of preparation beforehand. With not only the limbs, but we also need to improve our quality with armor and weapons. Shoddy grade equipment is not good enough to deal with these Inquisitors. We need at least high quality gear if we're wanting to deal with them. As we were falling back, though, we saw a lone paladin on patrol, and with him being so caught out, this is just another opportunity to take out one more soldier from the Holy Nation army. We've also heard rumors, though, that there's a hive village to the west of the hub. The hivers are known far and wide for their expertise in machinery, and that might be a perfect place for us to go to locate some new limbs for our warriors. It's also not too far out of our way, so if their shop is pretty decent, then that would be a perfect spot for us to go in between our Holy Nation raids. That way we can always have a few limbs on standby in case they're needed. I'd much rather have one of our warriors weighed down with some extra gear in a bag, rather than taking out each one of our warriors any time a limb is lost. The paladin doesn't last too long and is pretty quickly defeated, but just as we're tending to our wounds and getting ready to head out again, a group of hungry bandits decide to drop in. You think they would have learned by now not to mess with our warriors, but I guess their hunger speaks louder than our blades. But it's been a very long time since any hungry bandit's been able to take anything from us. And with the paladin and the hungry bandits now defeated, we decide to continue on towards the Hyber village, leaving the bodies behind for the bone dogs to feed. On the way, though, we make a quick stop over to the bar that's just outside of the hub. That way we can sell off any of the Holy Nation gear that we collected, so we can free up some space in our bags for extra prosthetics. Plus, we also kind of needed the money, and carrying around all this extra weight doesn't really help us right now. Finally, with all that extra gear sold off, we can continue towards the High Village now. Remind me in the future not to load up 30 guys with random equipment. It's a real pain in the butt to sell. It's not too far now to get to the High Village from the hub, and up until this point we still have yet to actually see a Hiver. We've only heard rumors about their existence, so it'll be exciting to see how they actually look and how their village operates. As we're approaching the borders of the Hiver's territory, we see a group of slave mongers walking by. They may not be directly tied to the Holy Nation, but they certainly contribute to the slave trade here, with them actively looking for people that they can bring over to Rebirth. And to be frank, we can't allow that to continue around here, and so we gotta deal with them now. The slave mongers must have some sort of camp nearby, because I do see their patrols frequently in this area. Or maybe they're stationed in one of the Holy Nation cities nearby. But either way, we need to figure out where they're actually stationed and add them to our list to take out. In the meantime, though, these slave mongers will have one less squad patrolling these lands. This is where I'm going to end things off for today, though. We finally escaped that stalemate that we were in, trying to fight that Holy Nation military camp. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful with sieging them, though, but we did start this war off with a bang, sending ripples through the Holy Nation's forces, to the point that they actually had to send their Inquisitors to hold us off. Those Inquisitors were tougher than anything we had ever faced before. Thankfully, though, we were able to make it away safely. Now we plan to take care of our crippled warriors who lost limbs in this war, getting them equipped with some new prosthetic limbs before we inevitably head back to Burntopia. It's been a long time since we've checked in with the city, and we need to make sure that they're still doing alright. Plus, our food situation is still kind of iffy, and so we need to make sure that that's doing alright and nobody's starving. Will we be able to make it to the Hive Village and then back to Burntopia successfully? Find out next time in part 26. And if you're enjoying the content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.